Hello, everybody. How are you? That was good, but scattered. We can try again. How is everybody doing tonight? Welcome, welcome, welcome to the first ever ticketed Politics live show. Let's hear a round of applause for that. And if we're going to kick this thing off right, we have to do it with something special, which is why I've been working tirelessly for the past several months to come up with this celebration of our democracy. Ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you tonight to the American Sex Scandals Bracket. Now, that's a wordy, weird title. It doesn't really explain a lot. And it's because I legally can't say that it's a March Madness ripoff. The NCAA is very litigious. So, I will explain to those of you who are not aware of what March Madness is, or the tournament for college basketball between February and April. This is how a bracket works. We have 16 of the best American political sex scandals of all time up there that have been, unlike many of our contestants, carefully seated in various different divisions. We'll be going through what they are, but effectively, with each contest, they will advance until eventually we have a winner. We have 4 divisions. Each division has been seeded 1 through 4. So, the 1 seed will play the 4 seed, the 2nd seed will play the 3rd seed. So what do you say we go ahead and take a look at which brackets will be competing tonight? First, let's start at the upper left. Oh, starting like a house on fire. We have the gay bracket. These are gay political sex scandals. Our top seed is Jim Mcgreevey. Our 2nd seed is Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Oh, you'll see. Our 3rd is Larry Craig, and our 4th is James Buchanan. Let's move down 1 bracket to the new media bracket. All things technological, we have number 1 seed, Anthony Weiner. Number 2 seed, Elliot Spitzer. Number 3 seed, Mark Foley. And number 4 seed, Chris Lee. Woo! Chris Lee! We have some real Buffalonians in the house tonight, huh? Let's go over to the broadest. This is probably the most competitive bracket of the night, ladies and gentlemen. This is the affairs bracket. You guys are already the best. Number 1, Bill Clinton. And I'll be a liar if I told you that this is not the overall number 1 seed in the tournament. Number 2, Mark Sanford. Number 3, Newt Gingrich. And number 4, Alexander Hamilton. And our final bracket, this is the Love Children bracket. Yes, the bracket that keeps on giving. Number 1 seed, John Edwards. Number 2 seed, Grover Cleveland. Number 3 seed, Strom Thurmond. And number 4, Jason Miller. Those are our 4 brackets. Now I let you guys know exactly how we are going to move forward in this particular show. Because I'm going to explain each of these sex scandals, but it would be a little tedious if I asked for all of you to weigh in on each and every one of them. So I'm going to rely on you guys to decide the winner up until the finals. So when I come up to you, I'm going to need you guys to be ready to weigh all the pros and cons of these sex scandals to decide who is going to advance. And with that, are you ready? No. San Francisco, California. Are you ready? Well, then let's begin with the gay bracket. This is our first battle of the night. Jim Mcgreevey versus James Buchanan. Jim Mcgreevey won the governorship of New Jersey with 56% of the vote. He was a young, energetic father of two who had the reputation of a real team player. This might have something to do with the quote-unquote consensual sex orgies he engaged with his male driver and his wife. The trysts with the trio dubbed Friday Night Specials would begin with drinks at a local TGI Fridays, before devolving into a sticky mess of any hole will do debauchery. However, this is not the scandal that sunk him. As governor, Mcgreevey admitted to an affair with a male member of his staff whom he later made Homeland Security advisor without the right qualifications. Mcgreevey resigned at a news conference where he came out as a gay American. Again, he's resigning in scandal. During his resignation, he says, "But I'm gay," and gets cheers from the press for it. His wife divorced him, claiming that she had no clue of his gayness. Apparently, the bisexual free-for-alls were not enough of a sign that her husband intended to take the long way round the Kinsey scale. This matches up against James Buchanan, the President James Buchanan. Now, the 13th Vice President of the United States of America, William King, was from Alabama and a minister to France and a lifelong heterosexual celibate. Or 2 out of 3 ain't bad. King served as the vice president in 1953 to Franklin Pierce, but was rumored around Washington to be an item with future President James Buchanan. They lived together, adopted each other's mannerisms, and according to friends, planned to run as a couple, well, I mean, probably not out as a couple, but they would be a couple, in 1844 for president and vice president. When King moved to France to become the American ambassador, Buchanan wrote to his confidant, and this is a quote, "I am now solitary and alone. I have gone wooing to several gentlemen, but have not succeeded with any one of them. I feel that it is not good for a man to be alone and should not be astonished to find myself married to some old maid who can not expect from me any ardent or romantic affection." Now, while nothing in this scandal necessarily erupted in public shame, the two were famously nicknamed by Andrew Jackson by the nicknames Miss Nancy and Aunt Fancy. So here we go. Jim Mcgreevey versus Miss Nancy and Aunt Fancy. Here we go. I need somebody who feels that this one speaks to them. Anybody have a particular opinion on this? Somebody's going to break the ice, and I'm going to rely on this man right here. Sir, what's your name?
Mike Wood.
Mike Wood. Mike, Jim Mcgreevey or Miss Nancy and Aunt Fancy, who advances in this, the first ever American sex scandals bracket?
I think Andrew Jackson may have had a really good term in that. Nancy sort of picks, I think that's the winner, personally.
There we go. All right.
Yeah.
James Buchanan. That's a huge upset. A huge upset over Jim Mcgreevey. But we move on to the second of our gay bracket. Here we go. And this one, I will be shocked if the vast majority of you have heard of this one, because it totally blew me away. This is FDR. A man whose face is on Mount Rushmore. The year was 1919. Did somebody just for 1919? And a popular way for a gay Rhode Islander to meet, unwind, bang, and share laughs with like-minded folks would be to head to the Army-Navy YMCA or the Newport Art Club. Unfortunately, this got back to the military types in this Navy town, and they cooked up a plan to smoke out the homosexual element of Newport. Their plan? To recruit sexy young sailors to head into those dens of sin and nail those perps, literally. They did. And they brought back graphic reports of what they did while they were there. The Navy court-martialed 17 sailors, but the trial caused a national controversy when the public discovered the plan to entrap the sailors with willing military-grade fuck machines on orders to bang their way to the truth. So I might recap. The plan to find the gays was to take a straw poll amongst the sailors to say who wants to find the gays, and the only way you can prove it is if you have sex with them. And then to court-martial those that came back. This led to the resignation of the assistant secretaries who authorized and masterminded this sting, one of which was Franklin Delano Roosevelt. His first act as a civilian after being ejected in public disgrace from the Navy was to accept the Democratic Party's nomination for Vice President of the United States of America. In the parlance of his era, FDR pulled quite a boner. That matches, thank you. That matches up. Come Aboard Sailor matches up with Larry Craig. Larry Craig, then a Republican senator from Idaho, found himself in the crosshairs of a public indecency sting in a reported Minneapolis-St. Paul International Airport gay cruising hotspot. The officer sat in a stall and observed Craig peeking through the crack, sliding his foot under the partition and tapping his foot on the officer's shoe. He then reached his hand under the partition to try and make contact and only found a police identification. Craig claimed that their feet touched because he was, quote unquote, a wide guy when it came to his pee stance. After the arrest became public and more men came forward with tales of intimacy about Craig, the Idaho senator responded thusly. This is a direct quote. "I'm not gay, and I don't cruise, and I don't hit on men. I don't go around anywhere hitting on men. And by God, if I did, I wouldn't do it in Boise, Idaho." Wait for it. Jiminy! So here we go. Anybody, do we have a volunteer who wants to? All right, here, sir. Come on up here real quick. I need you to stand up and come on down here, sir. What's your name?
My name's Jeremy.
Jeremy.
Yeah.
Now this is one of our best matchups, specifically the early matchups. Is there anything that stuck out to you in either of these two stories?
Well, I think I need to make a disclosure before I vote.
Before you vote? Okay, all right. Public disclosure. Public disclosure. Okay, sir.
I'm from South Dakota, so I've been to the Minneapolis airport.
Go on.
I know where my favorite Caribou coffee is. I also know my favorite bathroom.
Okay.
Because I've checked in on Foursquare to the Larry Craig Memorial Minneapolis Airport.
That's on Foursquare. The Larry Craig Memorial Bathroom is on Foursquare. Now, so you have But on the other side is the revelation that one of the most famous presidents in all of American history authorized a naval sting that involved...
Stinging, perhaps.
Oh, plenty.
So that, to sort of give weight to my decision, I'm going with FDR.
FDR advances. But it was a tough decision.
Yes.
A tough decision. Let's give him a round of applause. So it is indeed FDR advancing. That moves us out of the first round of the game bracket. Let's now move in to the new media bracket. Ladies and gentlemen, our first contest is Anthony Weiner and the shockingly popular in the second row of this audience, Chris Lee. For the record, I think this is the most that Chris Lee has ever garnered that kind of attention. I don't think in his entire political career he got a whoop. Here we go, the number 1 seed, Anthony Weiner. Connected to the Clinton machine through his wife, Huma Abedin, the House representative from New York had a glaringly bright future. As fate would have it, the future was indeed far grayer for Weiner. Also gray was the color of his boxer briefs that were stretched to contain his bulging donger in a picture that he publicly posted on his Twitter account. This became the first recorded instance in all of American history of a sex scandal to be started by a DM fail. After resigning and appearing amply apologetic for his wandering wang, Weiner ran for mayor of New York City, only to have that derailed by still more allegations of sexting, though this time he did it under the pseudonym Carlos Danger. Spoiler alert, nobody was fooled. Although not one to learn his lesson, Weiner got popped for a third time in 2016 when he was caught sexting with a 15-year-old. This led to an FBI investigation, which led to the laptop that he shared with his wife being seized, the same wife who worked for Hillary Clinton in the State Department and was currently part of her campaign for president, which led to the FBI to reopen a closed investigation into Hillary's private email server. According to election data journalist Nate Silver, this was the decisive turning point in a very, very, very close election. So by the numbers, Carlos Danger and his devious dick got Donald Trump elected. He matches up. I'm just here to deliver the facts, folks. Blame his dick. That matches up with Chris Lee, casual encounter. So, picture this. You're a second-term congressman from Buffalo and your lonely heart yearns to stray. There are plenty of tried and true methods that you can use to assuage your illicit fix. One option, on the riskier side, would be to respond to a woman posting in the Women for Men section of Craigslist with your real name and a real picture of you, shirtless and flexing. You might even think, for a brief moment, that you could cover your tracks by saying that you weren't a congressman from the land of beef on weck, but rather a divorced DC lobbyist. You'd be wrong. And your name would be Chris Lee. Lee was lanced by the villainous Google, which his would-be conquest used to search his name, bringing up a picture of his face revealing his true identity. She then sent the post to the gossip site Gawker, remember them? And they did the rest. Lee resigned, his dreams of public service shredded like his abs. He was very in shape. All right, new media. Do we have any new media people? Sanford. Oh, here we go. I'll tell you what. Come on up. Come on up. What's your name?
Frankie.
And as we can tell, you're from somewhere in Georgia.
I am.
No, I'm just kidding. So you are from
Britain.
Britain. And these are the first time that you are hearing about a lot of these, right?
I've seen a documentary on Weiner.
Oh, gotcha. So now this one it's a little lopsided, but you get the final say. Is it Anthony Weiner or Chris Lee who advances in the American sex scandals bracket?
I have no right in slagging off your president right now, but I feel like I still speak for all of us when I say that number one Weiner in this room is Weiner.
There we go, ladies and gentlemen.
He is to blame.
Thank you very, very much. Anthony Weiner advances, and we advance to the next battle in our new media bracket. Elliot Spitzer. Now, a lot of you guys might know about Elliot Spitzer, but you might not know some of the details, and I am delighted to tell them to you right now. Elliot Spitzer had a reputation of fighting for the little guy, making the powerful on Wall Street pay the price for their greedy indiscretions as Attorney General of New York State. It was a reputation he took to the State House in Albany when he was elected governor in 2007. A reputation that he'd soon tarnish when he eventually paid a terrible price for his own greedy indiscretions. Specifically, Spoiler got busted arranging a paid fuck appointment with a 22-year-old aspiring pop star to the tune of $4,300 in cash. Spitzer got caught in a wiretap investigation to the Emperor's Club VIP escort service, a high-priced call girl service where Spitzer allegedly, during that meeting, negotiated a deal to just prepay for future rendezvous. Seems smart. He's a money guy. Let's just pay now and forget it later. He wanted to do it for $10,000. Now he realized later that $10,000 was the threshold exactly that he had to report any expenditures as a government employee. So he called his bank and asked for them to cancel the wire transfer. This led to the bank believing that Spitzer was being extorted, so they called the IRS to investigate the extortion of the New York mayor, only to uncover Spitzer's pay-for-play habit. His code name in that investigation, dear friends, was Client Number 9, but in the terms of a self-own, he was a perfect 10. He matches up against Mark Foley, the screen name Skeezer. Republican Congressman Mark Foley is likely the type of guy who thinks his computer is broken when the monitor is turned off. How else would you explain him trying to solicit sex from congressional pages by way of a verifiable and easily replicated emails and instant messages? The representative from Sarasota greasily slid into the IMs of several current and ex-congressional pages with his username MAF54, inquiring, among other things, about the length and direction of one man's penis. When shown proof of the exchanges, Foley resigned, something many suspect was the reason that the Democrats took back Congress in 2006. Age, sex, location. More like age, sex, resignation. Who feels judgment in their veins right now? Who wants to make the call on Elliot Spitzer versus Mark Foley? I see. All right, here. Come on down. Come on over here. We'll see if we can bring this up here. Sir, what's your name?
Andrew.
Andrew. Do you have any previous bias? We've already discovered so many things.
Yeah.
So many illicit Foursquare check-ins.
Yeah. I just realized, well, I'm from New Jersey.
Okay.
And, yeah. And Client 8's one of his escorts is actually from my area, the Jersey Shore.
Really?
Yeah. I was in an improv troupe, and I don't know if I could actually say this, but one of the guys...
Fuck it! Who cares?
Fuck it! And one of my troupe members claims to have had, like, you know, relationships, biblical relations with said woman.
With the woman who...
Yes. Yeah, the one who, like, blew, her pictures were, like, everywhere.
All over the place.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alexandra Dupree? It was a Dupree. It was Ashley Dupree.
Something like that. Like,
I like how you pulled it away and I said it right into the microphone. So your improv... somebody in your improv troupe claimed, I don't think that's not a thing, said somebody had sex with Ashley Dupree.
yeah, but, like, not for pay. It was,
Sure.
like, yeah.
On the house.
That's what I was told, at least, yeah.
But it was only after 9 other paid appointments.
Exactly,
Like
exactly.
He had a little punch card. All right, so you have some skin in the game here by way of your old improv troupe.
But even by being objective, I kind of feel like the Elliot Spitzer thing is kind of big.
I
He's
think
more
so
of a
too.
personality.
Elliot Spitzer. Spitzer. We're gonna keep this thing rolling, and this, folks. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Can you feel it? The affairs bracket. Bill Clinton versus Alexander Hamilton. And not only is this the toughest bracket, I believe this is the toughest first round matchup. Bill Clinton gets what he wants. Bill Clinton doesn't get caught. And yet. Monica Lewinsky was a young girl who fell in love with a powerful man. She engaged in sexual antics with the president on 9 occasions. And they would have gotten away with it too if it weren't for an unlikely confluence of events. After being rugby tossed out of the White House for catching feelings, Lewinsky trusted a new friend at her new job. Like that. Like this. To the Department of Defense. That friend taped their conversations and convinced Monica to keep a dress that the president skeeted on, unwashed. Now, a Newsweek story about this scandal was spiked at the last minute. And what I want to impress upon you guys, because it's hard to look back and understand exactly what this means, that for every other sex scandal in recorded history, all of it, that's where that one would have ended. But unfortunately, Bill Clinton had to meet the internet. A random dude with a website reported the Newsweek scuttling, and the world exploded. Bill denied it, but the dirty dress told the tale. An impeachment and failed removal vote ended the ordeal many months later. This would ultimately be remembered as the second closest that Al Gore came to the White House. He matches up against Alexander Hamilton. All right. It's San Francisco. Y'all are rich enough to have seen this show. So I need to get the snaps. Who is the founding father who got hot and bothered, coughed up some fat stacks to cover up his dick tracks? Alexander Hamilton! As is recounted in the famous musical, Alex got tangled up with a comely lass by the name of Maria Reynolds. Whilst the two were bagging their way through 1791, Reynolds' husband was getting his satisfaction by extorting Hamilton out of hush money. The year-long affair cost Hamilton $1,300, which by various different calculators means anywhere between $30,000 and all the money in the world. But more importantly, it created a financial bond between him and Reynolds' husband, who was also busy ripping off pensions for Revolutionary War vets.
Check, check.
Oh. The investigation into the pension eventually led to all the skeletons line dancing their way out of the closet, but it also gave Lin-Manuel Miranda an inciting incident to get into his third act. So cheers to Alexander Hamilton for getting it on in the room where it happened. Here we go. Bill Clinton versus the Tony Award-winning sensation, Alexander Hamilton. I gotta have somebody who wants to talk about this one. Who wants to make the call? Who wants to make the call? Oh, everybody's looking at each other. There we go. You, ma'am. No, sir. There we go. Come on up. Come on up. Come on up. Give this brave man. What is your name?
Daniel.
Daniel. If you were a gambling man, which one would you choose? Well, here, talk it through. Where are you at right now? Bill Clinton, famous sex scandal of the modern era.
I know you're a little biased towards Bill Clinton.
You might be biased. Why would you be biased?
I said you might be a little bit biased.
I might be biased.
I know.
Well, I never. I mean, maybe.
Are you sure you had sexual relations with that woman?
I mean, sure. Like, that was half the 90s. We figured it out. We cracked the case.
Supposedly Al Gore also invented the internet, so.
That is true. Oh, so you're saying it was an inside job.
Obviously.
Al Gore's like, finally, my plan works to completion. All right.
But with all that said, I think I have to go with Alexander Hamilton.
Oh! Controversial. Let's give a big round of applause for Daniel. Wow. Danny's gonna get jumped. This is our #1 overall seed going down to Alexander Hamilton. I know, yeah, everybody scuttled. Let's go ahead and move on to our second in the affairs bracket. Mark Sanford versus Newt Gingrich. Now, although unsung in the Paul Simon classic, it is indeed clear to me that the 51st way to leave your lover for one South Carolina governor was engage in a 6-day fuckfest with your Argentinian side piece on a lark. Mark? The story starts 8 years prior when Mark Sanford met a woman that he fell in love with. She wasn't his wife, Jenny. Sanford and his Argentine muse met a few more times in the intervening years, but it was after the affair was sniffed out by Mrs. Sanford that Mark made his move. Stretching from June 18th to the 24th of 2009, Sanford could not be reached by state or personal phone or email. His staff told reporters that he was hiking the Appalachian Trail. But the truth soon emerged when a reporter caught him coming home on a flight from Buenos Aires. After the air had cleared, he told reporters that the woman he saw was his soulmate. His wife, Jenny, and Mark soon divorced. Sanford survived a removal effort as governor in 2009 and became engaged to Maria Belén Shapur in 2012. In 2013, I want to make this clear. This dude leaves with nobody to contact him for 6 days, makes his staff lie about it for 6 days. He comes back, admits, yeah, I was just fucking this lady. Survives a removal effort for his governorship, and then in 2013 wins a special election into the House of Representatives where he serves today. Right now, someone's clapping, and they should. That's amazing. Unfortunately, not all fairy tales have happy endings. He and Shapur broke off their engagement in 2014, but I know. What chance do we have if these two kids can't make it? But don't cry for them, Argentina. They'll always have that fantasy walk up the Appalachian Trail. They match up against Newt Gingrich. Now, anyone, let's be honest, anyone can cheat on their wife. And anyone can marry their mistress. But to do it with the panache and frequency of Newt Gingrich, that is a feat that nobody in national politics has come close to. Newt married his first wife in 1962 when he was 19 years old, and she was both 26 and his former geometry teacher. However, she was the one trying to figure out how to add things up in 1980 when Gingrich visited her in the hospital as she recovered from cancer, and he began discussing the terms of their divorce. It later came to light that he had already found another flame in Marianne Ginther. Now, no rake. Gingrich wifed up Ginther only 6 months after the ink was dry on his divorce. But she didn't want to be a politician's wife. Gingrich was about to become the most famous Republican since Reagan, so yeah. In 1993, Gingrich began an affair with Callista Bisseck, who was 20 years younger than Newt. 7 years later, that dude had an affair for 7 years. He divorced Ginther, married Bisseck 4 months after his divorce was final, and in an interview with a Christian broadcaster in 2011, Gingrich chalked up his infidelities to a side effect of how hard he works for the United States of America. And for a man who flipped wives like HGTV shows flip houses, that's a lot of work for the good old US of A. So here we go. Newt Gingrich versus Mark Sanford. This is our final in the affairs bracket. We have anybody? Come on, I know. Oh, here we go. Come on up, come on up, come on up. Give him a round of applause.
How's it going?
All right, is it Gingrich or is it Mark Sanford?
Both of these guys are survivors. Like a cockroach, you just can't get rid of them.
Sure. Yeah. No. They're both still viable politically.
Well, and you know, Mark Sanford. Is
the mic not on?
I don't think it's working very well.
Yeah. Hey, come over here.
Mark Sanford, he gave no fucks, but Newt Gingrich did it better by screwing over his wife on her deathbed. So I'm going to give it to Newt Gingrich.
All right, there we go. She was recovering from cancer, so not quite a deathbed, possible deathbed, but we get the point. All right, so there we go. And now we move into our final first round matchups. This is the Love Children bracket. Our first is John Edwards versus Jason Miller. Here we go. Only a campaign that included a historic upset of a sure thing in Hillary Clinton, the debut of a literal cartoon character in Sarah Palin, and the election of the first black president could the craziest love child story in modern presidential race history be relegated to a footnote. But that is exactly what 2008 did to John Edwards. He entered the Democratic primary with the most conventional pedigree to win and was married to a cancer survivor. But the stirring orator, which we found out is not necessarily a good thing in this particular bracket, but the stirring orator from North Carolina was also stirring the pot with his videographer and mistress, Rielle Hunter. So much so that he left some evidence behind in the form of a daughter. The National Enquirer broke the story and the rest of the national media scoffed. That was until Edwards admitted it.
He then dropped out, fessed up about the kid, and separated from his wife, Elizabeth, whose cancer had at that point reappeared. 5 days later, the report of an explicit sex tape between Edwards and Hunter surfaced. Although he played second fiddle to John Kerry in the 2004 election, there is no question that Edwards' love child scandal is the top of the ticket in this love children bracket. He matches up against the most modern, the most recent of all of our scandals, that of Jason Miller. The year... And this one gets better by like stuff that happened today. The year was 2016. And Donald Trump was making an improbable run for the White House with a 1-2 punch of Twitter hijinks that would then be devoured by 24-hour news networks. This was followed by brash surrogates who would quote-unquote debate the latest outrage, many times howling their way right up to the commercial break. Two of these Trump-supporting cable news talking heads were Jason Miller and AJ Delgado. With Miller, the senior communications director, and Delgado, the newly installed senior advisor, it was only a matter of time before he installed a baby inside of her. The problem, Miller was married, and he'd also just found out that he had gotten his wife pregnant too. Things got sour from there. Miller was forced to decline. He was indeed hired as the first communications director for the White House. He had to resign that because this became public. That job went to Sean Spicer. Spoiler alert, it didn't went well for him either. But while Miller did wind up leaving, he landed at a nice job on K Street as a lobbyist. Delgado, however, was exiled, not only from Washington, but also from the Trump orbit. Moving back to her home of Miami and living with her mother, she is no longer a surrogate for the Trump campaign or the MAGA movement. Their baby, William, was born in July, and the two continued to squabble over child support. So, along with the border wall, you can add this little boy to the list of things that the Trump movement will probably wind up paying for anyway. News today! Hope Hicks was fired or left as communications director yesterday. On the short list to get that job is indeed Jason Miller. So here we go. We need to do this one quick. I'm just gonna rely on you right here. Come on up. Yeah, I don't think that works. So we're just gonna use this. Sir, what's your name?
My name is Cole. I don't have a particular dog in this race. I got called on though, and I'm gonna have to go for Miller. I mean, he's still in the running to get a job today as we're doing this show today. I got to give it up for him, another survivor.
Give him a round of applause. At least we have a theme. Okay. So here we go. We now have our, no, this is not our final. Here we go. This is our final matchup right here. Grover Cleveland versus Strom Thurmond. Grover Cleveland was the second of two men to walk into the White House as a bachelor. Fun trivia. But unlike William King's roommate, James Buchanan, there were no questions as to the sexual orientation of the former governor of New York. That's because Grover Cleveland was the father of a child in upstate New York, and it was about to become a problem. The mother, Maria Halperin, accused Cleveland of spiriting her to a mental institution at the end of her pregnancy, then separating her from her baby and having it adopted before she even laid eyes on it. Cleveland, for his part, did not deny being the name on the birth certificate. In fact, he spun it as an act of kindness. Halperin, as the Cleveland campaign told it, was quote-unquote, free with her affections. Amongst a group of Buffalo businessmen specifically. According to Cleveland, when Halpern got pregnant and none of the crew knew who the father was, he stepped up and took control. Halpern denied the narrative, saying Cleveland knew damn well he was the father. It did not stop Cleveland's rise to the presidency, and despite Cleveland opponents chanting, "Ma, Ma, where's my paw?" on the campaign trail, after Cleveland won, it was met with a response from his boosters, "Off to the White House, ha ha ha." It's a fucked up country, man. And finally, here we go. This is Strom Thurmond. A 22-year-old gets a 16-year-old pregnant. Scandalous, sure. But what if that father was a young Strom Thurmond, the future firebrand pro-segregation senator from South Carolina? And what if the mother is his family's maid's daughter who happened to be black? What followed was Essie Mae Washington, an author and teacher who only revealed that she was her father's daughter after Thurmond died at the age of 100. While Strom Thurmond remained a standard bearer for segregation publicly, he maintained a relationship with his daughter privately. They kept in contact her whole life, and Thurmond paid for her education. Washington even said that she thought she helped moderate his views somewhat when Thurmond became the first Southern senator to nominate an African American for federal judgeship. In 2004, a year after Thurmond died, the South Carolina legislature added Essie's name to the monument that listed his children, forever cementing her legacy. We need a very, very quick one. All right, we have a hand up here. What do you think?
Okay, so I did a report on Grover Cleveland when I was in 8th grade. So I'm actually kind of upset that this happened with him because I didn't know it at the time. But honestly,
wait, that wasn't in the report?
No, I had no way of knowing that when I was 10 years old. I don't think, or at least my school probably would have been like, maybe you should leave that out. Probably Grover though. That was pretty gnarly.
Yeah. All right, there we go. Grover Cleveland, Grover Cleveland. Advances. And now we have our finals. Everything from the first round is done, and we are going to zip through our quarterfinals here. If we can go ahead and get a look. These are the gay bracket finals. We have James Buchanan versus FDR. One more note about the FDR story. The FDR story, when the initial trial was happening, there became a panic in the Navy as they realized, wait a minute, who were these guys that wanted to go fuck these other guys to find out that they were gay? What if they're gay too? They then court-martialed the guys that they sent in to fuck the other guys, compounding that total to 17. I didn't expect James Buchanan to win, so I don't have a fun fact there. We're going to go right here. Okay, sir, come on over here. What is your name? Ben. Ben, FDR versus James Buchanan. Who advances to the semifinals?
I actually surprisingly know about the FDR scandal.
You know about the Newport Navy scandal?
I heard on another podcast, Dollop, and
fuck them.
And I know the officers put together like this bi-curious commando fuck team to investigate the YMCA, right? And they even got straight up reports of guys saying like, oh yeah, this guy blew me. And they said, not enough, go back, get blown again. So, in fact, I think that one should win outright, so FDR.
FDR! Incomplete survey. Requires further study. Let's move on to the new media bracket. Oh, it's New York on New York crime. Blah, blah, blah. Anthony Weiner versus Elliot Spitzer. Will it be the DM fail or client number 9? I see one right here.
Okay, I'm a little bit biased personally on this because, to be honest, the Anthony Weiner thing, I remember distinctly because it was the first time I could fully process how stupid something a politician had done was and thought, fuck, I can do anything. Like, this dude is in charge of thousands of people and he keeps sending dick pics out and fucking up. I can handle not doing that. I can probably handle not doing that, and I could be in charge of way more people. So, you know, for propelling my dreams, I gotta go Weiner.
Weiner! That is one thing that I have never heard ascribed to Anthony Weiner's penis. The inspirational charge to follow your dreams. Let's go to the affairs finals again. We had the #1 overall seed upset Alexander Hamilton versus Newt Gingrich. I need somebody on this side. I need somebody on this side. I need somebody on... All right. You, young lady, what's your name?
My name is Jessica.
Jessica, which of these two spoke to you?
You know, I'm gonna go with Hamilton because he actually wrote about it, published it for everyone to read, and Newt probably did not publish it, so...
He did not.
Yeah, so for making it public and owning it, I'm gonna go with Hamilton. All right.
Alexander Hamilton. Kind of a public scandal before he wrote about it, but fine. Understood. All right, here we go. Jason Miller upsetting John Edwards over matching up against Grover Cleveland. Ma, where's my paw? Here we go. I think there's somebody I can see. Some curious glinting eyes right here. Sir.
Oh, man.
Who do you think gets the nod in our Love Children bracket?
So it would be better if they were still on the screen. I've had a bit to drink.
Grover Cleveland versus... So a president who had a love child before he walked into the White House, or a Trump staffer who impregnated another Trump staffer last year.
I'm always a person of history.
A man of letters, ladies and gentlemen.
Sure.
Please render your scholarly opinion.
So I will go with Grover Cleveland.
Cleveland. That brings us to our final four. Oh, or the ending greater than 3, less than 5. Whatever, they're under fucking investigation by the FBI. Fuck them. It is gay versus new media. FDR versus Anthony Weiner. Oh, it's palpable here. It's palpable. FDR versus Anthony Weiner. We had somebody step up to the plate. Thank you for being a brave American and doing this service. Where are you thinking here? FDR, Anthony Weiner.
Well, it's the guy whose name is Penis.
That's true. Undeniable.
Or any port in a storm.
There we go. Probably would have been their title. Thank you for giving me that now.
I'm going to go with the 4-time president, FDR.
Oh! Oh, shit! The scandal all but the dollop knew about. Didn't know about now in the finals. But who? Who will match up? It's gimmick infringement. Will it be Grover Cleveland? Or will it be Alexander Hamilton? Now, this is the last one that we are going to decide here by one person's fiat. And I've been watching this man in the front row with a knowing glance to many of these scandals as we have explained them. Alexander Hamilton versus Grover Cleveland. What do you think the merits of this particular clash are?
The merits, I'm biased. It's a problem. So
okay.
Okay. So Alexander Hamilton is much more in the popular vein right now with the play and all, but I gotta say, Grover Cleveland's infidelities, I understand better because I'm related to Grover Cleveland.
For real? You're related to Grover Cleveland?
Well, I mean, like related to people that are been gone for a long time, yeah.
So does this like come up during Thanksgiving or? Like?
Oh yeah, I'm sure. No, it does not come up in it comes up for the fact that my mom did, that heredity thing a long time ago. They lived,
gotcha.
Yeah, all that kind of stuff, and my family was from Ohio, and they were. Yeah. Anyway, so if I had to pick one,
whoa, whoa, whoa,
I don't.
Whoa, hold on. At what age do you find out that you're related to Grover Cleveland?
I can't remember, to be honest. I'm old.
Okay. Well, I mean, like recently or long ago?
A long time ago.
Long time ago.
Yeah.
At that point, did you do more research into the American president that you found out that you were related to, or did it spark your curiosity?
Well, it was pre-internet, so I looked at an encyclopedia and got information that probably didn't show up for the scandal that you reported on. So I did not know these things until later. But, reading a lot, I read about it, and it was like, oh, that's interesting.
Nice. All right, so here we go. We understand that we've kind of tainted the jury pool a little bit. But who is your pick to advance, officially?
Well, I feel bad for picking, my great what the hell he is. But
fuck it, it's politics.
All right, Cleveland, Grover Cleveland.
All right. Oh, do we have a barn burner of a final? It's only when you talk about come for an hour that you can then be excited about FDR versus Grover Cleveland. So here we go. We're going to do this in the only way that we know how to settle things here in America. A noise-o-meter. So let's go ahead. First things first, let's give it up if you believe that the one true king of the hardwood is FDR. Make some noise! And if you believe that where's my pa? Grover Cleveland is our true winner. Make some noise! Ladies and gentlemen, our judges have just informed me that we do indeed have a winner. The inaugural Sex Scandals Bracket champion is Franklin Delano! Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Justin Robert Young. This has been a live performance of the Politics podcast. If you listen to podcasts other than the Dollop, I'm sure they're nice. You can go ahead and find it on Apple, Google Play, anywhere you look for it. Just go ahead and type in Politics 3 times. You will find me. I do want to thank a couple people who really, really made this happen. First and foremost, Tamar, who was the godmother of all this. John Teasdale up there in the booth, helping put all this together. My wife, Ashley, for filming all of this. Everybody go ahead and say hi to Twitch. That is our live stream right now that is happening. But folks, I gotta sign off here by saying that some shows might talk about politics, others might talk about politics, and I saw some on the internet the other day that actually talked about politics, but this right here in Piano Fight in San Francisco, California, is the only one that talked about all motherfucking three. See you. Thank you. I will see you guys right outside. Come on by and say hello. I'll sign everything. I love all of you. Go buy merch. Yes.
Still live. Any last words? Any last words before the
Yeah, that went good.